Hear now these words from the Gospel of John, chapter 18, verses 33 through 38. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Is that your own idea?" Jesus asked. "Or did others talk to you about me?" "Am I a Jew?" Pilate replied. "It was your people and your chief priests who handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jews. But now my kingdom is from another place." "You are a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You are right in saying I am a king. In fact, for this reason I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is truth?" Pilate asked. In ancient Sparta, as the governing council sat and debated their important issues, their method for deciding came down to who shouted the loudest. So the most popular, or perhaps just the most forceful opinion of the day, carried. And in many ways, our world is governed the same way as ancient Sparta. Unpopular or inconvenient viewpoints are often just shouted down. We have this unexplainable association between the truth and whoever we can hear talking over the rest of the noise. And we all know that the squeaking wheel won't get the grease until it is too loud to be ignored. Now, this might be a depressing view of how society works, but it's one that unfortunately happens with regular frequency. We think that in order to be right, in order for us to be bearers of the truth, we must have the last word. Truth and reality in our world are decided by who shouts down the others and who gets the last word in. But is this the way it should be? Can we trust that something as profound and necessary as truth can be found simply by following the loudest or the latest speakers? Mightn't there be some room for doubt? That those who shout the loudest might just be speaking in defense of an agenda or some goal other than the truth. But for many, truth is simply whatever we want it to be. Truth is a perspective, an individual assessment of life. There is no higher truth. There is no objective truth. There is only the limited, personal, and privatized definition of reality. Still, as the first-year philosophy student can point out, if there is no objective truth, then everything is up for grabs. Without a truth that goes beyond our limited views and opinions, what would hold society together? If truth is a matter of personal discretion, then who's to say that we can't lie, or cheat, or steal, or even murder? No, for life to be ordered and safe from complete anarchy, there must be some unifying and elevated truth that is beyond our human ability to question. But then what is that truth? Throughout human history, we have been constantly asking Pilate's question. And while countless thinkers have proposed their various theories, for the most part, we, like Pilate, have been met with silence. But then the Roman governor Pilate was given a unique opportunity that we all desire. On the morning before Christ's death, Pilate held a private conversation with Jesus. Now, I'm sure we all have our list of questions we have reserved for asking Jesus, but the one that many of us share with Pilate is this: what is truth? Early on Friday morning, the Jewish leaders brought Jesus to the Roman palace in Jerusalem so that they could have him tried and executed. Luke's gospel gives the three accusations that the people made against Jesus. He was subverting the nation and stirring up dissension. He opposed paying taxes to Caesar. And he claimed to be Christ, a king. But since according to the law, they were powerless to levy the death penalty, the chief priests of the Sanhedrin had no choice but to complain to Pilate. so that Jesus might be gotten rid of once and for all. But why such hatred? Why wasn't it enough for the Jews to judge and punish Jesus according to their own law? Why did they so lustily crave his death? It was Jesus' own people that handed him over to be crucified, but what had he done that was worthy of death? Well, it wasn't so much anything he had done, but simply who Jesus is that scared them the most. But if it could be proven that Jesus said he was a king, that he was causing problems, that he posed a legitimate threat to the Roman Empire, then perhaps Pilate could be used to sort out the issue and to finally come to the truth. Are you a king? Jesus answered that his kingdom is not from this world. His doesn't look like other kingdoms. In his kingdom, there are no violent struggles for power and position. There are no shouting matches to establish the truth. Its borders are not extended through conquest and war, but by persuasion of the truth finding its way from person to person and from heart to heart. But Pilate seems to only hear one word: kingdom. And from this one word, Pilate keys into Jesus' identity, half asking and half declaring, "So you are a king." Now he has yet to understand the details of Christ's kingship or how his kingdom operates. But Jesus affirms Pilate's statement that he is in fact a king. To be this mysterious king, with a kingdom from another world, this is why Jesus was born. He came into the world to testify to the truth, and everyone who follows the truth listens to his voice. At the beginning of John's Gospel, the disciple wrote that the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. Later on, Jesus proclaimed himself to be the way, the truth, and the life, the only path to the Father, the only source of peace. When he was gone, he promised that he would send to his disciples the Spirit of truth to remind them of all he had said and done while with them, and to guide them into all truth. Those that would find truth would do well to seek out Jesus of Nazareth. But Pilate goes ahead and asks the obvious question that we all ask of Christ at one time or another. What is truth? Now, was it sarcasm and doubt that there could exist something as certain as a truth that could hold life together? Was it indifference or irritation that moved the words from his lips? Or was he perhaps asking with a genuine desire to find out what no one else could tell him? Whatever his intention, the only response he received was Jesus. Silent but ever present, Jesus stood before the man who had been given power either to free or to crucify him. He offered no verbal response or argument because his very identity is the Word made flesh. He attempted no persuasion except to stand in his usual humility and grace that hid a secret of power and authority. Jesus simply stood there, staring back into the eyes of his questioner as if to challenge him by his own question. And then Pilate turned away from the embodiment of the truth. But did he understand Jesus' answer? Did he know that this man proclaimed to be the King of the Jews was also the King of all creation? This much Scripture tells us. 3 times Pilate declared Jesus innocent before the crowd, and 3 times he was shouted down. He washed his hands of the incident, but he did not or could not stand in its way. Pilate turned Jesus over to be crucified, but the last word was his inscription on the cross: Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. Aristotle believed that the natural progression of humanity is only to increase in doubt. The young man resounds, "I know." The old man is content to state, "I think." But for followers of Christ, this process must be reversed. As we search for the answers to life's greatest questions, we must move from thought and opinion to firm knowledge and heartfelt assurance. And we can do this because the Spirit of truth is leading us, each day bringing us face to face with Christ. Each day we ask, "What is truth?" And each day Christ stares back at us. Today especially, these stares are challenging and convicting. On Good Friday, we relive the doubt that perhaps this world, with all of its clamorous shouts, is right. Today we remember that Jesus in fact died, and we are left to struggle with this. How can the truth die? Doesn't that negate something as truth? You've probably heard it said 1,000,000 times that God is love. The beloved disciple even writes this in one of his shorter letters. And if this is indeed true, then today is the day that it is proven. Good Friday sets the foundation for our identity as Christians. So as the world continues to shout its competing claims for truth, sit in the silence that follows from the cross to the empty tomb. Because it's here, in this silent place, that we meet the truth of God.